Hey guys, and welcome back to Lights Out Latest. My name is Marina, and I'm here with Tristan and Jason. Steven couldn't be here, but that's okay. Um, we got a lot to get into. It was a sprint weekend. It was a crazy weekend. My favorite part of the weekend was on track without F1 cars, but we're gonna get into that later.
Well, yeah.
Lego cars. Is
Yeah, they
just-
were
sort of
F1
cars.
cars. They
They
were
were.
F1 cars.
Actually, that's a 2026 car.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know about
be
that.
delighted. I would
You
be delighted.
see, an effort to reduce costs and make it
Yes.
more competitive, chipping your front wing.
You don't have to
doesn't end the
fabricate
race.
parts anymore,
You could
Jason.
simply
You can just put
slap
new
them
bricks.
together. Exactly.
Yeah.
Just like that.
New
They're a
bricks.
composite of Lego bricks.
There you go.
Exactly.
Keep it simple.
Anyways, I don't know if Max was happier driving the Lego cars
He wasn't
or if
happy.
he was happier bringing his brand new baby girl into the world. But
Yes.
Max and Kelly welcomed their daughter Lily. This week. The cutest thing ever. I was perhaps the happiest person someone could be on Friday.
It is
I was
Lily
waiting for
PK, right?
So I haven't gotten official confirmation if it's Lily PK Verstappen or Verstappen PK. I
Oh,
was
okay.
told PK Verstappen, but some of the posts are the other way around, so I don't know. I don't think anybody knows, and I don't expect them to share that because why?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's up to them. But the fact that there's two world champion names attached to her name puts
True.
its own pressure on
So
her.
what was Max's timeline? Like, I didn't really get to catch up with much of that before. So obviously he raced in Miami. How did he go home and then made it for because when she gave birth when?
So, according to Brazilian news, she gave birth the beginning of the week.
So
So
okay.
she gave birth Monday or Tuesday.
Okay.
They spent time at home together. He went home from the hospital, everything. And then Max flew out Friday evening.
Mm-hmm.
I was pretty sure she was born when he didn't make media day. The reason being was it wasn't just the fact that he didn't make it media day. It was the fact that Twitter has accounts dedicated to tracking Max Verstappen's jet, and it hadn't left Nice yet. So
Yeah.
when it was 5 p.m. on Thursday, and he hadn't left Nice, I was like, oh, no, there's no way that he's just... Because I think if he had skipped media day... just to skip, let's say, using the excuse of she's pregnant or whatever, and that Lily hadn't been born, I think he would have made an effort to be there earlier in Miami to get into the rhythm of everything. It's a time difference, whatever. But I think kind of spending the most time you can at home.
Wait,
very cute.
Where was she born?
Monaco. She was born.
Okay,
in Monaco.
not France, thank God.
No,
All
it's
right,
just
excellent.
you can't get a jet into Monaco.
No,
so
I
you have to helicopter out to Nice.
Yeah.
But the cutest thing, I've been loving hearing him talk about her. I think it's the cutest thing ever. Or Charles comes up to him on Friday before FP1, and he was like, everything went well, and Max is like, yeah, everything went great. She's great. She's it was so cute.
Oh.
I seeing he came in the paddock and was showing GP pictures. That was so cute. I've just been fangirling nonstop.
Oh, I
and
imagine too, with the race and everything, he was probably just ready to boogie out of there today.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was
yeah.
going to say,
Home. Yeah.
F1 drivers don't get paternity leave.
No.
You still have to show up.
He kind
you
of
know?
could. I'm sure he could have been like, hey, just throw.
If this was
what's his name in the seat.
2023, he could have.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Right.
yeah.
He could have
In
taken
2023,
5
absolutely.
races off
Yeah.
and been
Oh, yeah.
still won the whole thing.
Yep.
It's funny though because see if you can keep up with me here. I was telling Steven this on Friday and he couldn't keep up. So I'm gonna try. So the paddock now has Charles's girlfriend Alex, Alex Albon, Alex's girlfriend Lily, Oscar Piastri's girlfriend Lily, Max's daughter Lily, Max, Lando's best friend Max, not Verstappen, the other Max. And Lando's best friend Max has a girlfriend named P, which is Max's stepdaughter, Daniel Kvyat's daughter, nickname.
Yeah.
P for Penelope. So it's all one name. It's 3 names.
You have too much time on your hands.
No, F1 Twitter has too much
Well, that
time on
is
hands.
also
I
fair.
scroll on Twitter. I do not. I
She
consume.
absorbs the
I
content.
absorb.
I was gonna say that's interesting. The connection, though.
It is,
Man.
right?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Huh?
We need another Yoss in the paddock now.
What is Albon's girlfriend's name?
Alex Albon?
Yeah.
Lily.
Oh, that's what it was. I think that's
Yeah,
why
yeah.
I got hooked. I thought I knew that, but I was like, I thought you didn't say it, and I was like, oh. But yeah.
Guys.
What's that? Oh.
I can't. We should definitely move on, but it was so cute. Like I spent
Hey, was that a Miami Dolphins jersey?
It
Yeah.
is.
Oh, Miami gave it to them?
Yes.
Oh, that's pretty cute. Good for them.
It was so funny. I think it's funny because Max hates the media.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that Max got to skip media day for it was like an added perk, but he didn't actually get out of most of the media. He got out of the stupid media,
Yeah.
but he still did do a bunch of interviews on Friday. And he was doing an interview with Viaplay. And the only time he actually like lets loose and is funny in the media pretty much is in their interviews because he's speaking Dutch. Sometimes he's with his manager or whatever. And the interviewer was like, I quite liked, like the best part for me was like seeing it come out.
Mm-hmm.
And Max was like, no, I was all the way in the back. And I was dying. Like, guys, the fact that this is public is the funniest thing ever. But anyways.
wait, why did the media interviewer like
Say
bring
that.
that up?
Yeah, the hell?
Like, what?
I don't know. And
Do the Dutch people want to know?
I don't know. And I don't really care, to be honest.
No.
I just hope it's crazy because it'd be so early, but the most obvious would be the first race she attended to be Monaco because it's in their backyard. She's living in Monaco.
That's true.
But it's very early for a baby, and I, for the baby's sake, hope that she's not there.
I
Anyways,
hope the baby doesn't go to a race for like
A
the
year.
year. Yeah,
Yeah,
I hope
I know.
not.
Well, Penelope was like a lot less than a year old when she went to her first race, but I want to say she was like 6 months old
Okay.
or something like that. I don't know. Maybe Brazil, I think would be like appropriate timing. Babies are just so susceptible when they're young.
Yeah, that's
Like,
why. That's why I
There's
was like,
so much that can go around in an F1 paddock, and so many people that
I mean,
like
drivers,
just sleep
as
her
far
out.
as they travel, like they get sick all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the time they get sick.
Yep.
Yeah. But anyways, moving on, let's talk Miami GP renewal. When I saw 2041, I thought it was a typo.
Yeah, that 4 in front of it threw me off in
Yeah.
a big way.
What are your thoughts?
That was, as a USF1 fan, that's great. Miami in the
Yeah.
past hasn't been the best rate, but it's proven itself. It's like a Singapore where
Yeah.
there can be good racing,
Yeah.
especially with the weather. But like this race, we can prove that weather doesn't need to be a factor for it to be
Yeah.
a good race. Like this race is
Yeah.
still incredible. We had a little bit of weather in the sprint that made it really good.
Yeah.
So overall, like Miami has pleasantly surprised me. At first, it looked like it was gonna be horrible street circuit, like nobody could race at all. But like it ended up being more like a Baku or Singapore where you can race and it can be
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I agree on those points. And also, it's just like the cultural factor of Miami. I think F1 needs to have a race in Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything else in the United States is, in terms of motorsports, has one of their biggest races in Florida. Like WEC has 24 hours of Rolex at
Yep.
Daytona and Sebring. And then there's obviously the Daytona 500.
Yeah.
I mean, local races. There's other racetracks and whatnot. 2041 is a little crazy. I mean, that's a lot of dates being filled, especially when Spa is kind of on the cutting block right
Yeah.
now, which is a little crazy. But I don't know. I'm not a hater of it. I'm really not.
That's what,
It's
a 15-year deal?
Something like
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
so
15.
it's- yeah,
16.
yeah,
Well,
which
yes,
is
15
crazy.
after this year, yeah. 'cause
now.
it's gonna be like
I would
26.
rather Miami have the longer deal than Vegas. I don't care for Vegas too much.
I
I
would-
understand the
I like-
All the way
allure.
around. All the way
I-
around for me.
Really?
I like the racing in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
I think we can. The problem, I would run into an issue. I'd have an issue if we renewed both for that period of time.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, you
yeah.
got to pick one. I think that now that they renewed Miami as your
Mm-hmm.
high-end show race in the States, in my opinion, we should get rid of. We should not have Vegas on the calendar for
The
the
thing
extended
is that
period of time.
Miami's gonna be willing to pay.
I would
100%.
love for Miami to be at the end of the season
Or
because I
Vegas.
think
Vegas
it'd
is
be really
willing to pay.
interesting.
Well, Vegas is self-funded
Like,
by F1, so they're
That's
not getting
the
Yeah.
problem. Yeah, that's the problem with. That's my only problem with renewing Miami. So Miami's willing to pay, but Vegas is F1 owned, so you're not going to drop Vegas,
Yeah.
and that means we're gonna have two F1 showier races again, it's
We
a good
dropped
race.
Monaco.
Yeah.
Drop Monaco.
Oh God, no! Do
See,
not
but
drop
that's the problem
that's
is
my
when you look at the
problem.
sport with dollar signs in mind, then you lose a lot of the sport. It's exactly what happened in NASCAR.
Yeah.
NASCAR expanded after the 90s because they saw their boom. They're like, we're going to build these big 1.5 mile tracks. We're going to get rid of a lot of the local tracks and whatnot. And now they're biting the dust and going full circle back to that's like if you lost Monaco or if you lost Spa. That's like how NASCAR lost like North Wilkesboro or they lost like
Well,
I don't even
Monaco
know,
and
like, all
Spa
sorts of
are
stuff.
very different. Like,
Well, yes,
you
absolutely.
never want Monza off the calendar. You never
Yeah.
want Spa off the calendar. You're never going to drop Silverstone.
Well,
No.
this brings into question like you're gonna renew Miami, you're gonna keep Vegas, but you're gonna and you obviously have Coda renewed for a while, but you're gonna potentially drop one of the Italian races. That doesn't make sense to me.
Oh, I would drop Imola.
I don't think I would. I really like him
I
a lot.
would. It was a stopgap for COVID in the
COVID.
same way Mugello was a stopgap
Yeah.
in COVID.
Yeah.
And they ended up renewing just because they could. And now it's kind of like, well, now we have 2 Grand Prix in Italy,
Yeah.
and it's a bad track. Like, Miami could be entertaining. Las Vegas is an entertaining track, right? They add something to the sport. And geographically, they're all as far apart as each other. You got one on the West Coast, one on the East Coast, and one right in the middle of the U.S.
Yeah.
Like, the U.S. is massive. This is no different than having a race in France, in Germany, and in Russia.
How do you feel about Mexico's renewal? Because I didn't put that on the sheet, but that also happened.
Mexico
Yeah,
isn't a
they're-
great
Mexico was
track.
extended.
When did they get
But-
extended to?
38?
Yeah.
31?
I thought it was something 8
31,
at the
38.
end. Yeah.
It's one of those two.
Mm.
I think it's 38, if I had to guess.
I'll do a little check.
I don't like Mexico. I don't think that's a great track. I don't think it's a great race. I don't think it
It
produces
isn't.
great racing. And we don't have a Mexican driver on the track anymore, so I can't even be like
2028.
28.
Yeah,
okay,
it was a
that's
shorter
much better.
extension.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's much better than I thought. Yeah, I was pretty sure it was with an 8, but 38 seemed too long.
Yeah, I was gonna say when you said 38, I was like, that's a lot. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, 28, which is better.
I don't like Mexico. So that one being renewed is like, I'd much rather you keep Imola and get rid of that, or keep the Netherlands yearly instead of
Mexico.
on one and off, coming on, bringing them 1 year on, 1 year off.
I'm still a fan of. I think France needs a race.
I agree.
Like-
I like the circuit in
Paul
France.
Ricard is a
No.
terrible
Paul Ricard-
track though. It's
But
Paul
but
Ricard
the
is
racing
bad.
can be
Yeah.
decent.
it can be. Yeah, it's
The-
very car
the-
dependent though.
It is very hard.
Yeah.
The track is not the greatest.
No.
But the racing can be quite decent.
Hmm.
We've had some good races in Power Card.
Yeah. It isn't great.
When was the last race in Power Card?
Which races would you cut?
It looks cool, but it isn't great.
Yeah.
Well, let me pull up the calendar right now and tell you. F1 2025 calendar.
well,
would
okay,
I
wait. Let's do
cut?
it this way. I'm gonna pull up the calendar, and you tell me
Keep or cut.
keep or cut.
How many should we cut?
Well, how many like? Okay, you cut.
Can I throw a dream cut?
Sure.
I would cut Vegas and replace it with Watkins Glen.
No.
Yeah.
Ooh,
I feel
Sorry,
like
I'm right.
I feel like the Glen wouldn't be as good as a track.
No, the Glen though. It's the Glen.
You see, it would be great
Legendary.
for IMSA to race at the Glen.
IMSA does race at the Glen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
F1 used to race at the
That's
Glen
great.
though.
Don't think about how many you're cutting or keeping.
Okay.
Just
I'll
tell
just tell you
me
keep
Yeah,
or
we'll
cut.
just go
or
with
cut.
what we feel.
Australia,
Keep.
especially because of the improvements.
China,
Keep, that's been fine.
Yeah, China hasn't really acted up. I keep it.
Suzuka.
Oh,
Keep.
well.
It's a driver's favorite.
It is a driver's
a
favorite, but
driver's
it's been
favorite.
proved. It's 2 years in a row. It's been pretty boring.
Okay,
I don't
Bahrain.
know. This is where I get tossed. The Middle Eastern
Cut.
tracks throw me off a little bit.
In my opinion,
Yeah,
cut.
Bahrain
As
was
someone-
the number one.
As someone who's watched it and been in person for it, cut.
But
Absolutely
Bahrain is
cut.
a good racing track. They have good racing there. The turn 1 into turn 2, like S into that next straight.
Bahrain is just weird. It's a weird
I
circuit.
don't know. I'm gonna keep it for now.
Keep. You
Yeah.
said cut or keep?
I said cut. Yep.
Okay. Saudi.
I'm gonna keep because it's so risky, and we've already had a lot of iconic moments.
Yeah.
I was just trying to remember.
I wish I could
having a tough
keep
time
Saudi
remembering.
qualifying and cut Saudi race. But I say keep. I
I'll
think we've
keep
had
it.
some decent races. So we said keep Miami.
Mm.
Well, If it was
I would.
before this race, I would have said cut. But this race proved yet again we could have
This
an
weekend in
exciting race.
general
Yeah.
Was a great
actually
weekend.
a pretty great
Yeah.
weekend.
Yeah.
Sprint
So-
race was good. Everything was good.
This one has changed my mind about Miami.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again,
Imola,
2026 could
Cut.
change that. I agree with Jason on this. I would cut Imola
Cut.
as well.
Yeah.
Monaco.
Keep. It's tough. It's a tough one. I'm a traditionalist, though. The
I say
history is
You see,
it's unprecedented.
unless the 2026 cars could totally fix it, like Formula
Yeah.
E raced this week in Monaco, incredible race, like absolutely enthralling racing,
Yeah.
like awesome racing. But F1 is too big right now. Unless the 2026 regs can fix it, I
Yeah.
would say cut.
Barcelona.
It isn't
This
a
one
great
is
track.
getting
Yeah.
cut, so
I
it doesn't
would-
really
It's
Yeah, I
matter.
already
was gonna
getting
say.
cut, but it's going to Madrid for a street circuit.
which
which
I
is
hate.
not created.
I would
I
rather
hope-
keep Madrid. I would rather keep Barcelona. Than
I hope
Yeah.
it's a good street circuit.
Okay.
I'm not the biggest fan. I don't know.
Probably
The
cut
more racetracks, the
Barcelona.
better, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So,
Canada.
oh no, I'm keeping Canada.
You see, they've had some crazy rain races,
Yeah.
but it's a horrible racing
If it's
track.
not raining, cut.
Yeah.
Without a
Okay, yeah,
chance.
fair.
Basic.
But
but
if
you could
it's
say that
raining-
about almost any track.
Then yeah.
It depends on
Well-
how much it rains there. So
Yeah.
right now, I'd say cut. As somebody who went to Canada, Montreal Grand Prix, great track to go to.
Yeah.
And but
Not
like
very expensive.
yeah, but
Yeah.
it's it would be
I
the
wanna
F1 race
go.
I would go to.
I would-
Yeah, I would
But
go.
it's a horrible like racing track.
All right,
So
let's
right
make
now that's a
these-
cut.
Let's make the rest of these rapid fire.
Okay.
Just 'cause we have so many. Austria,
Keep.
keep.
Silverstone,
Keep.
Belgium,
Keep.
Oh yeah, keep.
Hungary.
Ooh.
I say cut.
Probably cut.
I
Yeah,
would
cut.
probably also say cut. That's what I was leaning towards.
Zandvoort,
cut.
keep.
I was gonna say keep.
Monza,
Keep.
Keep.
Baku.
Keep.
Oh,
I was gonna. No, I'll say keep too. Yeah,
Singapore,
I'll keep that.
keep. Yeah,
Coda,
keep.
Yes, keep.
Mexico.
That's where I get torn because Mexico.
Cut. Absolutely cut.
Mexico is a weird sentimentality for me because like when I first got into Formula One, Mexico was for some reason the one track that I knew a lot about was because Red Bull performed better there to the air levels and whatnot,
Yeah.
which is no longer a
The
thing.
elevation.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
elevation. I don't know. Maybe it is a thing. You tell me, Jason. But
Well, yeah.
Just a little bit,
See,
but
what's
not
so-
as much as a consideration as it was in the past. I think.
Because Red Bull used to be so behind in their engines
Yeah.
that they needed the air. Now that all the engines are kind of equal, it like
Doesn't-
isn't that big.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
back then, Red Bull was way behind on engines, but way ahead on aerodynamics.
Yeah.
So this was like their thing. Their
point,
air
yeah.
efficiency would make up for the lack of air.
crazy.
And the
See,
lack
but
of
that's-
air would bring everybody's engine level down.
Yeah.
So they end up being some of the best there.
that's for some odd reason. That's why I like Mexico. The elevation actually kind of makes it slightly more interesting.
But now that the
So,
engines are equal right now,
Yeah,
like it doesn't
yeah.
have that effect anymore.
No.
I still remember that being a talking point. Like, oh, this is
every
where
week,
Red
every
Bull's-
year, yeah, I was like,
this is
all
where
right,
Red Bull's
Red
setting
Bull is
pole.
going to win. Yeah.
Brazil,
Keep.
Keep.
Yep.
Vegas,
Keep.
I don't mind. I mean, it's a good. Yeah, I'll say keep. But if I had it my way, I would change it.
I would like to cut the Vegas weekend and keep the Vegas race. I think the media in
Oh, yeah.
Vegas and Miami together are two on top, but I think Miami has really good media because of all of its football collaborations, which is what, to be fair, which is what CODA should be.
Well, I still remember
CODA
the
should
first
be
year
the
where they
football
gave
one,
him like
but it's
football
Miami
helmets,
Dolphins. That was horrible.
and they had Shaq give out
Shaq,
the podium.
that was horrible. That was
trophies.
over the top.
They should have had
but
Tua up there.
But the media day stuff is great. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
That would've
look,
been funny.
we're gonna talk about it later with the
Yeah,
Lego
too.
cards.
The Lego cards
Like,
are
I mean,
crazy.
yeah.
Chop Robinson up there.
Qatar.
Cut.
Cut. Yes.
Abu
Oh,
Dhabi.
to think we're gonna have a
Abu Dhabi keep.
Cut.
Oh,
Cut.
the new improvements have made it a little bit better.
But
Slightly.
cut.
Right now, I'm
in my
keeping
opinion.
it.
Well, what would you? All right, this is a very short question. What would you finish the season with?
Saudi Arabia.
Really? Does it have to end in the Middle East?
No.
Yeah.
I think it should,
I think.
but I don't know actually.
I
Should
think
it be a night
should,
race?
I think it should
Yes,
end.
absolutely.
It should end at
I
a track
think
you
the
could race at.
season should. I disagree.
Like Qatar
think-
is a horrible. Like, what if it's down to the wire and we have Qatar? Like somebody, like it's like, oh, and another lap where Hamilton's stuck behind Verstappen.
I
Hamilton's
think
still stuck behind.
we need
He's still
to
stuck behind Verstappen.
Finish the season on a track that's high stakes.
Okay.
somewhere
Like Saudi Arabia.
like Saudi, like maybe Spa,
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe
Azerbaijan.
Yeah, Baku.
Silverstone? It's like on the
No,
fringe
it's not
there.
that risky.
I was thinking more as a history, kind of like imagine if the season ended in Silverstone.
Yeah.
But no, yeah.
We could not have it end in Monaco because I'd
I
just
would
be
be down
I
to
like
have
Saudi Arabia. I like
I
Saudi
do too.
Arabia.
Yeah,
as an
I
end.
like Saudi. I'd be down to have it end in like Suzuka.
Okay. Which it
yeah.
has before. Well, no. Was it
Or
Suzuka?
Brazil.
or-
Brazil
think-
used to be the ending
I
race.
think
Brazil did
Brazil
Japan
used to be a good one.
Japan had the ending race for a while too.
Brazil was well placed. It's still the same time of year as it used to be when the season ended there. And the further you go, the hotter it gets because they're on the opposite as us. So it gets hotter and hotter. And I think December in Brazil would be really
They
humid
can't do a
and really
night race
hot.
there,
Yeah.
can they?
No, they don't
Brazil?
have.
No.
They don't
They don't have
the
the
lights.
infrastructure for it.
No.
They could.
Well,
but they
you'd
don't
have to bring in the
infrastructure for
lights
it.
and everything. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Anyways,
Interesting.
thought that was interesting.
Nice little tangent. Very
Little
good.
tangent. I don't know. I think going back to the original point, extending for any 15-year period seems a lot to me. But I digress. Let's talk about the actual weekend and the events of the weekend. Sprint quali. I
mean, there's a big standout in sprint quali.
Kimmy.
Yeah. Let me
Yes.
see.
I love Kimmy.
Great kid.
Great kid. Dude is speedy.
I get to
quick.
call him kid. I don't know if you get to call him kid just yet.
He's younger than me. I get to call
Oh,
him
he
kid.
is?
Yeah.
Golly, man. Okay.
Right? That's what's
He's
crazy.
18?
He's 18.
Man, there you go. All right, fair enough.
So Kimmy turns 19 in June?
I'm gonna fact
End of
check you.
June.
I think so. Yeah.
Check.
Because as a talk last year,
Because
is he would turn 18.
He turned 18
after the
while
summer
I was
break.
in
August 25th.
Is it
Yeah.
August?
After the summer break. I remember that was the talk.
2006. Oh my god.
Yeah, because I'm 05. I'm October of 05, so he is younger than me.
Golly. All right.
What's scary about Kimmy is the fact that he's this good at tracks he's never been at in a
His next
sixth
year is gonna be
race.
it's gonna be Oscar Piastri all over again.
it's
literally.
his sixth race in Formula One.
Yeah.
I think that he's done enough to prove that that he's worthy of the seat, not only for this year but in the future.
Long term.
And
Mercedes doesn't lock him down with a big contract. It's a little crazy.
yeah. And I think that scares George Russell.
I don't think it should. We
I think
do
it
not
should.
need to talk about this again.
I think it should.
You see, because
talk
you
about
really
this
think
a lot.
Verstappen's going to go?
He
to
is so good, but
Mercedes?
George is
He's
solid.
So Max is so fed up. The literal, and I mean like. So
Oh, you're
literally
talking
radio
that
sirens.
angle. Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
That changes things.
I mean,
yeah.
think about let's wrap up sprint quality talk and we'll talk about the sprint race because
Yeah,
that's where
yeah.
I was going with that.
Okay.
But sprint quality itself, Kimmy was on fire, and then the comments from Toto were like, he's never been to these tracks. Like, just wait till we get to Imola, Monza, all these tracks that F2 races at.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're talking. And I think that could be really interesting to see how much better that Mercedes can get, especially because a lot of teams are bringing upgrades. The other consideration is the Mercs.
Mm-hmm.
Are they actually going to get better? Because they're supposed to be bringing upgrades, but right now, they're right in that position to like pick up the pieces if the McLarens aren't good. But the McLarens are very good.
Yeah.
Their race pace is incredible. It's very Max Verstappen Red Bull-esque from 23.
Yeah.
And 24 for that matter.
Yeah.
Beginning of 24. It's astounding.
But isn't it a done deal because Max Verstappen, he somehow played his way into pole position and possibly into the Grand Prix.
I'm convinced he just has a little bit extra in
There's
the tank
something.
in quali
Oh, yeah.
because
There's something,
he's got 3 pole positions this year.
yeah, in that car.
That's the most of
insane.
anybody.
Like Monaco, like Verstappen might be a favorite to win Monaco.
Well, his one lap
Oh, yeah.
speed is just so good.
But that wasn't it's not what he's known for.
No.
Max is known
Like
for his
Leclerc's
aggressive
known
overtaking.
for a qualifier.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but
and
now
Leclerc
he's got
has
a
been bottling qualifying.
See, but also Max is a fine-edged machine, like as a person, and he realizes that what he can't get on race day, he's gonna have to get on qualifying day.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go back
know?
to like 2018 and 19. Like, that's what Max did. He was known for coming from, like, 8th or 9th and winning the race.
Yeah.
Like, he did that a few times.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because one of the considerations when we're talking about sprint quali and sprint race weekends in general is the idea that, like, oh, you're just seeing the same quali twice. But they've been so different. And sprint quali has been one where, like, it's just kind of so strange. Like, the order ends up, like, taking you by surprise, in my opinion. Like, Fernando Alonso was in SQ3. What? Like, that car is slow. Is very slow.
It's very bad. Yeah.
So, that's interesting. Speaking of the sprint, though, man, do you have anything to say for your poor Ferraris?
Well, the sprint actually turned out very well because we pulled the master strategy, undercut everybody. Leclerc, unfortunately, couldn't be a part of that.
he was aborted.
We needed all
He was aborted.
We need all the brain trust from Leclerc's side of the garage to merge with Hamilton's.
So the two brain cells
actually figure out the strategy. And we did. And then we had a safety car, which kind of sucked because I don't think he would have won. I think he would have got second.
I think he would have been second.
I think he would have been second.
Because I think it would have been Oscar, Lewis, Lando.
Yeah. So either way,
I was yelling at my TV.
Well done because it worked out. Let me get my thinking cap on here. Next year is our year, so
the real thinking cap.
It's time to say that.
It's really helping you process the thoughts.
It's gonna take like 5 races for me to determine. It already looks like a next year kind of deal. So that's what I gotta say.
I think it's interesting because I really thought when Hamilton came in, it's game over. I was like, these idiots. Ferrari has done it again. And bottled it, not only with Leclerc out on the formation lap, colliding with the wall, when they were the only team that went out on inters. Granted, everyone started the race on inters, but they were the only team that went out for their reconnaissance laps on inters. And I was like, these idiots, bro. Like, of course Leclerc's in the wall, not even going to start the race. It's pouring down rain. Then it stops raining. That time comes where you're thinking, are they going to end this race on slicks? And then Lewis is the first one with Ferrari in the pits, and I'm sitting there like, oh god, here we go again. But you're right. I think without the safety car, which again, I was yelling at my TV because I was like, there's no freaking way Lando Norris gets lucky twice in a row with safety cars. Because there's no way he won that without a safety car.
Well, he also...
It took zero skill. And he got lucky because he came in right as it came out.
Zero skill is a little harsh, but...
He was like third. Okay. He was second, if not third.
Okay.
And he would have stayed there because, like I said, I think Lewis and Ferrari got it right on the lap to pit.
They did.
They did a good job. Yuki came in and pitted on lap 10, I think it was. And then Ferrari came out on lap 11. Came in on lap 11. And I think that was the right lap to pit. Like, they got it right, and he was flying. But it was just, like, he just got lucky that Lawson and Alonso collided on lap 13, and he came in perfectly.
Lawson has... he needs to find his pace again. Like, it hasn't been good.
No.
He just got to stop crashing.
Ideally.
I mean, the good thing is Red Bull literally have nobody else. Like, at this point, they're going to call up Lily.
At this point, they're going to call up Arvid Lindblad, who just came into F2.
Yeah, no, that's not happening.
No.
They're too young.
They're going to... No, Alex Palou.
No, you got to stick with what you got.
That would be a call.
I think they've got to stick with what they got.
That would be a
the
call.
problem.
The
and
quota...
to be fair, I think that's not the greatest rate for their team right now. I think a lot of people got really used to having a fire under their belt of being you can be fired at any point, and now there's not that.
Listen, you just got to call Checo back.
Everyone's getting a little too comfortable. God, no. Have you seen all the news with Checo and Cadillac?
I wouldn't be surprised. It's kind of a... Like, who else?
Please.
You're getting called Broma and Grosjean?
Wait.
Who else are you
anybody
gonna call?
but Checo, man. I can't.
K-Mag.
Yes.
K-Mag, actually?
I would rather have K-Mag than Checo.
Not a bad move. Not a bad move.
I would rather have
Nick
than
DeVries?
No. Mick Schumacher.
No,
Nick. I was
neither.
like,
Although I think I'd rather
over.
have Nick DeVries than Checo in the car.
No.
Yes.
You say that. You say that. You totally...
Purely because I'm just so tired of him being bad.
Danny Rick would be a good move.
He's done, but no.
Huge.
Danny Rick is a full-time content creator now.
Before we move
I haven't
on
seen any content
from the sprint, Marina, there's a fun little fact that we wrote in right before the
No, I
podcast
don't wanna
started that
talk
we
about
have to
that.
mention.
But
Almost
before we
Oh,
mention
don't
that-
worry.
Hold on.
I'll
Almost a
say it.
decade.
No. Before we mention that, though, we got to talk about the unsafe release.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Which is the whole reason why I brought up the fact that George has got to be shitting himself. Pardon my French, because Max is not happy. Max is thoroughly pissed off. At
Tier
right now.
1 George defended against Max during the Grand Prix. So
Max didn't have any pace.
He
Max
was
was
in the lead of the
slow.
race.
Because he's an expert defender. There was no world in which Max Verstappen was going to win that race.
Well, all I gotta say is George finished one place above Max.
For now.
Even though George qualified lower than
For
Max.
now. For now.
So I will leave it at that.
For now. For now.
Tier 1 George.
For now.
Yes, sir.
The stat in question is that because of this god-awful unsafe release that could have cost someone their lives, which is the more important pressing part. But for me, the more important part was the fact that Max finished outside the points for the first time since 2016. He was 18 years old the last time he finished outside the points. And he is now a 4-time world champion father. Like, what?
Mm-hmm.
That's wild. That's a crazy stat. That's a crazy pull. And that's something nobody else can say on the grid.
No.
Not even Lewis.
Nope.
Lewis finished outside the points a lot in a Mercedes wreckage of a year that was 2022. That was rough to watch. But hey, anytime I get to see, let's jump forward to the race though. But anytime I get to see, doesn't matter the circumstance, Max Verstappen past Lewis Hamilton, it is the greatest day ever. It doesn't matter if it's a Mercedes or a Red Bull. I've
Makes
still
your day.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
does. It makes my day.
absolutely.
It's like the race was terrible, but at least Max overtook Lewis
That's true.
in equal-ish.
Okay, pole sitter.
What?
Pole sitter Max.
Yes, Max was on pole, and your point being?
He had to pass somebody, which means he lost first place.
He's not wrong.
I don't know what I'm supposed to say to that, so we're just gonna move on.
Yeah, we could be moving on.
Let's move it to quali. Like you said, pole sitter Max. I'm so confused, genuinely. If there's one word I could use to describe Formula One in 2025, that is confusing.
Yeah.
Nothing ever makes sense.
Like
Do you remember the times in which you knew exactly who was going to be in Q3 every week?
It was wild. It's like the Williams have like
Freaky good pace.
they're an
Yeah.
argument for the second best car this weekend. like it was wild.
Like this is kind of, we could talk race and kind of quali simultaneously in terms of pace for Williams, but they were freaky good.
Yeah.
It was like a seat swap sandwich with Alex. I think it was Alex. No, who was leading?
It's like Carlos never
Carlos
left
led
Ferrari.
in
Carlos. Oh, it was Kimi. It was Kimi, Charles, Lewis, Alex at one point, and I was like, "Oh, this is a seat swap sandwich."
Did Alex go into Red Bull? Like that's crazy.
Alex is a phenomenal driver. It was funny when they brought up like the team orders. There was like a little, like there was a speech thing. They were talking about team orders. And Alex came on the post-race show and goes, I have no idea what you're talking about. I never heard that. Right? And they were talking about his car overheating as he flies straight past Carlos Sainz. It was, if you called anything Max Verstappen did last year a dive bomb, this was most definitely a dive bomb.
Oh,
He
big
was
time.
so far
in every way,
back.
shape, or form.
It was crazy. I was like, we're fighting teammates now? But again, these weren't the only teammate battles. I mean,
No.
Lewis, what did you make of the teammate stuff with Lewis and Charles?
During the Grand Prix, you see, I think this Ferrari's mostly to blame. Now, I'm not the tire strategist, so I don't know what.
Yeah.
But, like, Lewis was on the quicker tire, and they left him behind for 3 laps. And there's an argument to be made. By the time he got ahead of Leclerc, he already burned up his tires, and he couldn't pull away. And the hard tires reached that crossover point where they were quicker. So then Leclerc ended up being quicker. Because Lewis was, like, a second quicker lap or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
Pulling up to Leclerc and then couldn't pass him. So it was kind of like, I think this is mostly Ferrari's fault. So Ferrari and Lewis and Leclerc have every right to like be mad at each other. Not Ferrari though.
I don't think Lewis and Leclerc have anything to be mad at. I think they both can be mad at. Like, I don't think they're mad at each other.
They both need to be upset at the Ferrari
Ferrari.
strategy.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
they need to
yeah.
get Fred in here and be like, Fred, what's going on?
Dude,
like,
but like,
this is bad.
The radio messages were crazy. It was, you want me to just sit here the whole race? And Ferrari goes, I'll get back to you on that. I'll come back to you.
What do you mean?
And then Hamilton's like, in China, I got out of the way when you were on a different strategy. And then he lets him through. And as he's letting him through, we hear the audio message that's like, have a tea break while you're at it, will you? Come on.
And then he finally lets through Leclerc again. He's like, want me to let through Sainz too?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, he took it.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to mention.
Sainz 1.4 behind. You want me to let him
Through.
pass as
Yeah.
well?
Lewis, I've never seen Lewis this angry.
I love that
this
Lewis
is
is
crazy.
he's subtly passive aggressive. He's like, this is not good teamwork, guys. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, but he's never been like this
No.
at
well,
Mercedes.
he's never had this problem. This is a new problem for Lewis.
He doesn't
When
have
it's
Bono.
So crazy.
He's never been behind his teammate
Yeah,
and
That's true.
significantly
that
slower.
is also true, actually.
But legitimately, in his whole career, he's either been even or well ahead of his teammate. Even his rookie year. He tied with Fernando Alonso his rookie year.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah, but it was funny, too, because as soon as he got passed, they come onto the radio and they go, we want you to keep DRS to Charles. And he goes, man, you guys are killing me. And then Charles is also like, I need Lewis to go faster because I've got dirty air now. And I'm like, guys, you can't all be happy. Like,
Yeah.
someone's got to get
All
screwed.
that just to finish like 7th and 8th.
Yeah.
No, for real.
Oh.
Just as Williams just drives circles around you.
Yeah, it blows my mind. Like, how? Anyways, let's talk about lap 1. What did you make of Max and Lando's move? Because I thought there was nothing more Max Verstappen, Oscar Piastri-esque than turn 2 on lap 1.
Yeah, but
and
didn't
I thought
Max
it was
get a penalty
beautiful.
for that?
No, he did
No,
not.
he did not.
Oh, okay.
And I don't think he deserved one either.
I don't think he
But
did either.
I thought it was very much a racing incident.
His commitment to the corner was a little crazy. Like, I think...
But he slid
I
out.
don't know.
Like,
He did
if you
slide
look,
out.
Like the turn 1 right-hander and the turn 2 left. The turn 2 left, if you look on the onboard from Norris's car, like Max wiggled over the curbs there.
Yeah.
Like he almost lost the car. So
Yeah.
yes,
Importantly,
he would have
though-
squeezed him in any case, but he kind of forced him off using. But he had oversteer. He couldn't
Well,
control
even
it.
with
So-
the lockup, like, yeah, he locked up in the 1, but he's still committed to the line after the corner. So, like...
He was ahead.
He was ahead, too, yeah.
I think here's what, again, I wish Steven was here so that he could argue with me on this, but I'll bring it up anyways because I bring it up every week because it's now been the new topic of conversation. This is where the Oscar Piastri separates from Lando Norris because, and here's where I'm going with this. Lando, not only in that corner where he backed out a lot and dropped down to 6th, but the entire rest of the first half of the race where he was trying to... He had some great overtakes. Don't get me wrong. He had great overtakes. But when he finally made it to Max, it's like he's scared to fight him. And he never learns. Like, Oscar tries one thing one lap, and then he's like, that's not going to work. Let's try something else. And he's gotten really good at anticipating where Max is going to go. And thinking like Max Verstappen and doing the opposite so that he can take advantage. Whereas I feel like Lando is just stuck trying to do the same thing over and over and over
the
again.
definition of insanity.
It's the definition of insanity. And he did the same thing with Lewis. I don't know in what world you fight a 7-time or a 4-time world champion trying to overtake them in turn 1 every time. Or in that case, it was like the last corner before the safety car line every time. Like, have some balls, dude. Do it somewhere else. Like, get with the program. The only reason he passed Max, and granted, he passed Max over, I don't even know how many laps, and gave Oscar a 9-second lead, was because Max locked up. Because if it wasn't for Max locking up in that corner, Max would have made the corner, and I think Lando would have stayed behind, at least for that.
Yeah,
I think we forget that so much of racing is just lap times, right? So all the best drivers in the world probably just have the best lap times in the world because if you're just that much faster, it's easy to pass somebody. But when you're actually competing with people who have similar paces, like I was surprised at how long Max was able to hold off Lando, like you said.
The defending was
I think
insane.
his racecraft isn't that good. Like those things like that.
Lando's or Max?
Yeah, the Landos, like you said.
Oh, I agree. I don't think Lando... again, I was looking at we had our 360 Sports episode 2 weeks ago, I want to say.
I think so, 2 weeks.
For the all girls, and I was looking back at some of the stuff that we talked about to make sure we kind of weren't touching on the same things or doing the same kind of games. And one of the things that we said, and I couldn't tell you who it was. I want to say it was Prost or someone of that nature, someone good.
So not Jos Verstappen, got it.
No, someone very good, a world champion, and they were
Mansell.
talking about it. I don't know. I doubt it was Mansell because they were talking about Lando, and they were saying, well, Lando needs the best car in the best circumstance with a dud teammate to win a world championship. It's facts. Look at he's being blown out of the park by Oscar. Oscar has 4 wins this year, and we're on race 6.
And more career wins than Lando.
And more career wins than Lando Norris in less time. Like, again, this is for all the Lando fans that like to hate me for this. This is not me saying Lando is necessarily a bad driver. He's still a good driver.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think he has the natural ability, the racecraft, or the racing IQ to beat someone like Oscar Piastri or Max Verstappen.
He's got too much
really
emotion
smart.
in the game.
Possibly.
Max, everybody's talking about, like, I love all the jokes about Max, like, getting slower. Or, like, remember when Fernando Alonso said it about Michael Schumacher?
Oh, yeah.
He was like,
I knew he'd break
I knew
because he
he'd
has
break
a wife
because
and
he had a
kids at
wife and
home.
2 kids at home.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is, like, people brought that back when Max
That's pretty
announced
funny.
he had his daughter.
Of course they will.
He had his daughter.
Oh,
But,
I need to give a shout out to somebody when you're done with this.
okay.
Mm.
But Max has this ability, like many other world champions, of that visor is down, and all of a sudden there's no emotion there. It's pure racing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think Lando has that same ability.
Or at least not
At least not to the same
100% of
extent.
it. Yeah, I was going to say. I think he definitely has it. But I think
Every
he
race
kind
car
of
driver has
does
it
get
at
some of that, like, the big bad wolf vibes when he approaches Max. Like, you can kind of see it on the racetrack. Like,
It's like he's driving around scared, bro.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, you
Like
just...
I said, no balls.
I don't know. It's tough because we watch more and more of it. Obviously, he had a great weekend. I
Yeah.
mean, Lando did. He won the sprint, and then he came in second in the race, you know. I mean, it's solid. It's not that bad
He's
at
like
all.
20 points behind Oscar now, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Still, I mean, that's not that bad.
It's
It's
nothing.
not bad at all. It's nothing.
It's literally
Yeah.
less than a race win.
Yeah.
I think it's crazy. I think because Lando is still consistent.
Mm-hmm.
He can't, because that's the one thing you can't take. Like, the results is one thing nobody can take
Like,
away
he's
from
so
him.
good.
He's good.
He could still win.
He can still win.
Yep.
Yeah, he could
But
still
do you
win.
see, I think it's funny, if anybody goes back and watches the overtakes that he made on everyone else leading up to Max, the overtake he made on George Russell, the overtake he made on Kimi Antonelli, those were really good. That was prime Lando. Like, that was really good. And then as soon as he came up to the back of Max, it was like, it's Max, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it felt like. Who's your shout out?
We had basically a discounted version of Through Goes Hamilton into turn 1.
Oh, yes.
You know, it was Sainz first, Leclerc second. Leclerc pushed Sainz a little wide, and Hamilton dove down the inside.
I saw it coming as soon as I saw him in the rear
It
view.
was... I was about to, like, me and my roommate watching it, and I'm like, no way, it's going to happen again. And then I see it. I'm like, Through Goes Hamilton. I'm like,
the funny
screaming
thing
it.
is the fact that it was Leclerc again. Because last time it was Leclerc and Checo.
Except Leclerc stayed ahead that
so.
time, yeah.
Yeah.
Leclerc stayed ahead that time.
So, yeah. Ultimately, it didn't matter.
But, yeah, it was kind of fun to see that happen. Good for him.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk some under review moments. It's a lot of stuff under review, actually. Carlos Sainz, what did y'all make of that last lap collision?
That's on Sainz.
They're both
big time on
under
Sainz.
review for that one, actually.
On Sainz or a racing incident?
I think it's on Sainz.
I think so.
I don't think he
It's just too much of a
penalty
send.
for it
I was
because
gonna say,
nobody
here's the
got
question.
hurt.
Is it a time
but-
penalty even though the race is over?
Nobody got hurt, so I'll leave it at a don't do it again racing
Reprimand.
incident.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, is it if they give him a penalty, is it a grid drop?
Oh, that would be the
Or a
right thing
time
to
penalty.
do. Yeah, because I think the person behind him was too far.
Well,
yeah, I'm
he
watching
didn't
it over.
gain anything from
Just
it, though, right?
insane.
Yeah,
and
I
he
was
didn't
just...
even hurt. I mean,
No.
he made contact.
Yeah.
Because I, like, almost freaked out. They
Maybe a
cut the
fine?
camera.
I thought, they cut to the camera
And like the Williams is like
Yeah.
colliding. I
Yeah.
was like, why are you touching the red and the blue? Don't mess. Like, oh, no.
It's the fact.
Car looks ugly as is. Don't make it worse.
I know that Ferrari is
I don't
so.
even
We
know
didn't
what
talk
you-
about the liveries either. I mean, there's only 3
We
that were
can talk
different,
about them
but
before
they're
we
like,
end.
yeah,
that
yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
great.
Talk,
I mean,
but-
you could argue Lewis could have been watching his mirrors more, and you could argue that Sainz could have made it that late. Like, yeah, look at that. So there was a gap.
I mean, he had it, but still, it was a freaking dive bomb.
Yeah,
really-
I'd
Let's
say
see
a
this
racing
again.
incident.
I
Yeah.
really want a
Lewis turned
5
in early.
seconds.
Lewis turned in
I would
tight.
prefer 5 seconds.
Lewis turned in really
Yeah,
tight.
because I mean, he had his wheel going into the corner. Lewis could have given him a little bit more breath, but still,
Yeah, he didn't really deserve it.
I
He
don't
wasn't
know.
entitled
He doesn't
to it.
entitled to it.
no, he's not.
That's what's
Yeah.
tough. So
I think if anything, because the nothing was discretion, like Lewis finished where he was gonna finish, blah, 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 it's probably just a fine. I would think
they won't
so.
do monetary fines
they won't do
anymore.
monetary fines.
Why?
Not for that. Not for
I
racing
think they might
incidents.
just give him a warning.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, fair.
Yeah, you're
But
gonna
I-
have Muhammad knock
I've
on
gotta
your
read
door
up
and be
on the-
like, buddy,
what-
don't do it
I
again. That's
I
pretty
need to read up on the regs to see if it's a penalty, a time penalty, or a grid drop at this point.
Ish.
I
don't
feel
know,
like
this
it's
is tough.
post race. It should be a
They
grid
could do
drop,
either
right?
one. Yeah, they
But
could do either one.
But I guess since the official race classifications haven't been put out yet, it could still be a
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
penalty.
Well,
That's
how
true.
far away was? Because what Sainz finished in? What was it?
Sainz was
9th?
9th.
Yeah, I wonder
So
how far away
10th
10th
was
was.
Yuki.
Yeah.
And Yuki had his own 5-second penalty, so
Ah, well.
if it was 5 seconds, nothing would change.
Doesn't matter.
Which is why I want 5 seconds, because
Yeah.
I'd rather him just take the 5. I don't
I'd
think it was
respect
that
the
big of a deal.
5.
They might
yeah.
just do that. They might be like, hey, we could give a 5-second penalty to
Just
make
for
it look
funsies.
like it's not okay, but
Yeah.
like nothing,
Nothing
actually
actually
changes.
changes. Yeah.
That's like giving a 5-yard penalty after a football team loses a game. Like, you get it's over. 5 yards doesn't get do anything.
The other investigations, obviously Yuki got his 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Every time I see anything under investigation speeding in the pit lane, I know for a fact they're gonna get a penalty.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
What do
always
you mean
a
under
penalty.
investigation? It's
Yeah.
it's
Just
computer
give 'em a
based.
penalty, bro. And the funny thing is how long it actually took them. It was under investigation for like 6 laps, and I'm like, you have nothing better to do.
No.
But the other two are both Pierre Gasly and George Russell, both for failing to slow under yellow flags. Now, when I tell you I was waiting for this summons to drop for so long, I kept scrolling on the FIA page to be like, are they finally going to do it? Because GP comes on the radio to Max and goes, just don't let him get 5 seconds on you.
Yeah.
And Max is like, why? And GP was like, just don't. Like, just don't. And so Max was in, I think it was like 2.2 or something from George. That gives him a podium, potentially, which would be great. I would be much satisfied with that. I would also like to point out this would be the second time that someone on the grid gets a penalty because Max told the stewards they didn't slow under yellows. Because Max was also the one that went on the radio earlier in the race and said George didn't slow under double yellows. And Ed GP just goes, understood, like he always does. But I guess they really did follow through with it, and I don't think that Red Bull would submit it if they didn't think it was worth submitting. Like it was genuinely.
Max is gonna be one of those stewards that, like, after he retires, like a substitute teacher comes in, you don't like him because he makes you do like a 40-page paper. That's exactly what he's gonna be. He's gonna be like, ah.
I think Max is the number one driver when it comes to spare capacity. Dude is watching the screens, watching the car ahead, being like, yo, he didn't slow. Or behind. That time it was in his mirrors. And I want to say that was Qatar with Lando. That was also behind him. He was like, he didn't slow. He got closer to me. I'm like, how do you even see it? You know?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
insane.
Those mirrors
So-
are not big.
They're not.
I remember when I don't think there was any regulation on like minimum mirror size until 2019. And the FIA realized this is ridiculous. We actually need to have a minimum mirror size because teams are making them useless.
Literally.
Because I think there was a rule that was like, oh, you need to have a mirror, but they didn't say what size. So
like
teams would
big.
just make it
That
tiny
big.
to be more aerodynamic.
Aerodynamically friendly.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Anyways, let's talk about some honorable off-track mentions. Or I guess this is an on-track mention. We got to talk about these Lego cars.
Lego cars. Yay.
Oh,
I
wait.
think-
Hold on.
Wait.
Before we get
Oh,
to
the shout out.
quick thing, something that happened on track. First race with engine failures in forever. Two of them too.
For Ollie and Gabby.
Yeah, the engines are so reliable these days. Like this used to happen every race.
Every race there would be an engine failure.
2017.
Do you remember all
2016,
the Ferrari ones? Even more recently, Ferrari had a ton.
2016,
Yeah.
Yep. Anyways,
Max
I just
had
wanted
one.
to mention that.
Is that the shout out you're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, the shout out he was talking about was the.
Did I miss the shout out?
Yes.
Oh,
the,
yeah.
Through goes Hamilton.
Through goes Hamilton.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm way behind.
Jeez.
Well, I was there.
Jesus.
I listened.
Anyways, yeah.
I think, from a PR perspective, this was Lego's greatest PR stunt they could have ever done.
It was so good.
They go all out. Yeah.
Lego is a brand that strides to be someone or a brand that is for everyone. They have their Lego Flowers, and they have their Lego F1 cars, and they have their Lego Star Wars. It's for everyone. If you like anything of any, and you're any age, you can be a Lego fan.
It's a red flag if I meet somebody and they say don't like Lego.
They don't like Legos, right?
I don't like to talk to
has
that.
to be
I don't want to
So
talk to that person.
They did the whole Lego
I don't like that person.
cars. They have the little ones and they have the big ones.
Yep.
And now they bring these life-size Lego cars that go 20 kilometers per hour, and they put 20 F1 drivers in these two-seater Lego cars. And I genuinely don't think I've seen any of those guys have more fun on track all year.
And they're like racing
They
each
loved
other.
it.
They like
Crash.
cut corners.
Just busting up
They're
the cars.
crashing into each
Yeah.
other.
Max, the funniest
They're
thing was
all
Max.
screaming at each other. It was crazy. These are
was
like
crazy.
professional racing drivers, and they're just all having a blast because realistically, they're all people too, and most of them are
Yep.
like 20-something-year-olds.
I know,
that just
20-something-year-old
wanna mess
guys. that
around
just
with
wanna
Yeah,
mess
little
around.
Kimmy Antonelli,
They're
18
literally
years
our
old.
age.
Dude,
Yeah.
it was so funny. George and Kimmy in the Mercedes crash with Pierre and Jack in the Alpine
Yep.
Lego car. They crash, and Kimmy jumped out of the car and ran the rest of the way.
I didn't see that.
Ran straight there. I mean, you didn't see this?
No, I
Oh,
didn't see
so
that
good.
part.
Should have done what Jenson Button did. I think it was 2006 Australian Grand Prix. His
Hitch a
car
ride.
blew up. No, his car blew up in Australia, like 100 yards from the finish line. He got out and started pushing.
it.
And I remember the British
yeah.
commentator's like, "No, tragedy, Jenson, push, keep pushing." And he's just like yelling at him. I wish Kimmy would have did that, but yeah, no. Like even in the post-race interview, you all sat down and Jensen was like, "George, like, hey, how was it?" He's like, "Honestly, the most fun was the Lego cars."
Yeah, the Lego
Like
cars.
to
Yeah.
have that brand, have the driver say right after getting out of the car, saying, "Yeah, I want to
onto
go
a
in the
podium.
Lego cars."
Yeah, can we go
Like,
back to the Lego cars?
How crazy is that?
That was
That's
more
awesome.
fun.
They were having so much fun. Like, Lewis is pure joy. Like, I haven't seen him that happy
You know,
in so long. The video of him, like, laughing.
look at that.
So hard
He's
out.
got an image of the
the whole
of,
grid
the
like
back
lined
straight
up.
with like the whole grid racing each other.
And they
George.
loved it. What was
He's got
funny
his
for me-
sunnies on.
Yeah, they just they generally had a blast. I think it was quite funny too that the Haas and the Stake were like nowhere to be found for the first half of the lap.
Yeah, right?
I genuinely couldn't find them.
Yeah.
I didn't find the Stake the whole time. And then there's videos of Esteban Ocon saying, "Mate, we're so behind," and Ollie Behrman goes like this. You know when you're like trying to egg on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like Max gets out of the car and they're trying to interview him, and all he kept talking about was the fact that there's so many Lego pieces on the track. He's like, they better clean up the track.
It's gonna be a problem.
This is gonna be a problem. I don't want to get a puncture because of a stupid.
What
Oh my
a Max
God.
move. You know what's
Right?
wild is that happened during the it was at Barber Motorsports Park. What a good Ranchers Grand Prix or whatever. The IndyCar race this weekend, right? And the IndyCar race was pretty boring. Again, Alex Palou ran away with it. And I know my friend is a marketing intern for IndyCar.
Yeah.
I like DM'd him like, look what F1 did. This is low key way better than Barber race right now. And he's like, bro, are you kidding me? I'm
Right.
like, yeah, this is great marketing. As I'm talking to some of the other marketing staff of IndyCar, I'm like, your stuff sucks. This is so much better.
Dude, they had a drone following them above.
They're like
They're
crashing.
showing
They
the
had
like,
GoPro.
yeah.
I think there's plenty more content to come.
Look at that.
There's plenty more.
That's insane.
F1
It's so cool, man.
And the thing too is there's plenty more content to come, probably from Lego themselves.
Oh yeah.
Because
all the
of
drivers
cars-
recorded it too.
All of the all we've
I
gotten
gotta
so
check
far
these out.
all we've gotten so far is all the drivers' recordings and some of the F1 recordings, but every car had a GoPro on it. So all of that still has to come out, too.
I love how immediately they're just like, let's start hitting one another with the cars. It's just
well,
clearly.
That started, it started before they even got in the cars.
Yeah.
George goes, I can't wait to play bumper cars. and Karun looks at him and he goes, this is 440,000 pieces. It took someone 26 hours to put it together. And he goes, damn, why'd you tell me that? Now it's not fun.
Now it's not going to be as fun.
Yeah, I don't want to like ruin someone's work.
I love how Max complaining about the pieces, and I'm witnessing live video of him just purposely running the car into the Alpine next to him. You see it right here. He's going... somebody better clean that up, though. I mean, that's a big problem.
And they actually ran on racing slicks. Like, those are legit.
Yeah, they are legit slicks, too.
I love how we have all this issue about, like, about trying not to waste tire. There's, like, a tire allocation.
I love that the stake, though, was at the very back. Like, that's kind of funny.
Fitting.
It is. Look at how it's all the way back there, Jason. Yeah. Oh my goodness. You'll have to add a clip. I'll have to send you this clip to put what we're looking at. It's all the way back there. You can't even see it.
Yeah, this is sick. I wonder what their lap time was. That to be like 5 or 6 minutes.
You think somebody actually timed it?
20 kilometers
Stopwatch.
per hour.
Come on. Break it over here.
But like, I can't stop thinking about the fact that this was the drivers' parade. Like, can you imagine if every week this is what we did?
Normally they have the vintage cars, right?
No,
well,
yeah,
they
that or
did
a
the
trailer.
vintage cars
They
or the
just throw them in a
trailers.
the trailer, yeah.
But this is so much cooler.
From a content perspective of like getting interviews, the trailer is like number one.
Yeah.
The vintage cars are cool, but nowhere near as cool as fucking
No.
Legos.
If you're gonna do it in the vintage car style, I recommend something stupid like this.
Let's get in the slipstream.
Yeah, DRS on.
It was the way in the beginning that Gasly and them ended up further back.
I like how they had the safety car out. Like, they would follow neatly in a line. I think everybody in the F1 paddock and Lego thought, oh, they're just going to follow in a little line. Maybe one of them would do, like, a little swizzle, like, to warm up their tires. It'll be cute. Instead, they're just smashing into
each other.
Like little kids smashing cars together.
Oh, my God.
But, like, that's what the Legos, you put 20 drivers, most of them in their 20s, into Lego F1 cars that they had no stake in, that they could crash into each other on track, and you thought they weren't going to crash into each other. That was my first thought is, oh my God, we're playing bumper
And they're
cars.
competitive, too. So they're like, all of them are actively like trying to overtake each other.
Max was so pissed off. He said our car lost speed towards the end.
If I had done it again, I would
have taken this line. No, Esteban Ocon saying, dude, we got to cut some corners to catch up. Anyways.
All of them cut the
Some
chicane
great
before the
moments.
back straight, except for Max. Max actually took the chicane properly. Like, he was scouting the track. He's like, extra lap time? Sure. Get me in there.
I'm mad nobody took out the what's it called? The orange cone thing.
The bollard?
The bollard. Nobody took it out this
week.
Do you remember?
It's happened like every year.
Last year, Max rammed into it and he said, "I just didn't like it, so I took it out." It was annoying me. I was mad nobody took it out. I was like, "Damn, I was waiting for that." Yeah. That was on my bingo card for the weekend. Speaking of cool cars, though, there are some really cool liveries this weekend.
Yeah.
I'm really a fan of the V-Carbs this year.
Yes.
They were like, if we're going to be a mid-team, we're going to do it in
style. Yeah, you took it right from me.
Yeah.
And
because they did, like, their normal livery is awesome, but, like, this one was, like, next level. and all they did, everything they did with the media side of it, too, because it's basically the pink Red Bull.
Yeah.
So that was really cool.
That DJ Khaled, do you see that? He's like, look at the V-Car.
Look at the V-Car with the can. I forgot.
Look at the ocean. Look back at the V-Car.
Let's go bowling.
Let's go bowling.
It was the way they did all this media in like these beach chairs, and then George Russell goes over and puts on one of those flamingo floaties, and everybody was saying that the flamingo and George gave off the same vibes.
Charm of Miami. This is why this track needs to exist.
Because
Florida's crazy land. Anything can freaking happen in Florida.
The 305.
Literally, Mr. 305.
Mr. 305.
Mr. Worldwide.
All we needed was Pitbull to sing the national anthem.
Oh my God, was he not there?
We need Pitbull to sing the national anthem, and that'll be
Pitbull.
complete. It'll be complete.
You know what's so funny though is the fact that obviously Miami is part of the United States, but it's so insane down there that it didn't like dawn on me that we were having a U.S. race until the national anthem.
Well, it's so different.
Like, oh my God, we're in the States.
Like, you think of European countries, and they're very similar across the whole country. But U.S. is just so big and diverse. Impossible. Impossible. Like, Maine, nowhere close.
It was raining outside and snowing like 2 weeks ago in Pennsylvania. Yeah. And it was hot in Miami.
Florida, it's game on anytime.
It's raining.
My buddy who goes to University of Tampa down there. He has a blast. Yeah.
Any final thoughts?
I don't think so. I feel like we covered it all. Do we have, what is it, Italy next week? Or
2 weeks.
2 weeks from now?
Yeah.
2 weeks
all I got to
Italy.
declare is, like I said, next year's our year. So,
so a miracle.
This is finally the point where I
it's a
got to say
miracle.
next year now. I said I would hold off.
You're just slow.
Like, are you calling me slow or the car slow?
I'm calling
Yeah, Jason.
the team slow.
Okay, I thought you said I'm slow.
No.
That's not nice. Okay. Maybe it's a thinking gap. Maybe it's hurting my brain power.
It is hurting brain power
Yeah,
because Ferrari is slow.
Yes, they are.
Okay.
They're very slow.
It's been officially declared it's next year again. So.
When are you going to stop saying that?
Until we win.
There you go.
Because next year's is always opportunity.
So forever.
It could still mathematically happen this year.
It's not going.
If Ferrari takes some of those parts from the Lego car and put it on theirs, it would be sufficiently fast. So.
It would definitely be more lightweight.
100%.
Yeah.
Possibly more aerodynamic.
Yeah, more aerodynamic.
Is a brick more aerodynamic than the current Ferrari car?
Hey, it could be.
I don't know.
Might as well try it out. I mean,
It's worth a shot.
You know what I would
think
love
Lego's
to
a
do?
European company, so get that.
I would love to put an F1 engine in one of those Lego cars and see what happens.
Jason.
It would
fall
rip
apart.
itself apart.
Yeah,
Yeah. The
explode.
torque itself would it be,
The torque itself.
You could maybe put like a
You like
a little
step on the
go-kart
gas
inside.
and
Gorilla glue.
you step on the
Gorilla
gas and the rear
glue.
end of the car is
You could
just
put like a
getting
Civic 4-cylinder in there, maybe.
I just want it to go faster than 20 kilometers
Yes.
per hour. Can you think about how cool it would be if they were going like 50?
Imagine those dorks
It'd
on
be
that
so
speed
insane.
wagon. Yeah, oh my
It'd be
god.
so insane.
Someone would get hurt.
But for cars at 50 miles per hour in
Imagine
Miami with
F1
Lego
driver.
cars.
F1 driver gets hurt during the Lego.
Apparently,
race.
George said Lando was mad at him because he hurt his leg on the Lego cars.
Of course.
Yeah, so they shouldn't go faster for the safety of the drivers.
Right.
Because the second a driver gets hurt is when they cut this off. So
Yeah.
maybe we got to keep it like this.
If they don't bring this back for next year, I
Yeah.
will be thoroughly disappointed.
Yeah,
Nothing
that
will
was
ever
sick.
top this.
That was so cool.
No, it was great. So, anyways, I think that's about it. That about covers it.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
Miami was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations to Daddy Max Verstappen, as they kept saying.
Like Yuki
All
Tsunoda.
weekend.
Oh my
Did you
God.
see his
Yuki-
video? It's on ESPN
Yuki-
F1. He said, "Hey, Big Daddy."
Yeah. Or when he got into the Lego car, he was like, "I'm just a little baby."
Yeah,
Put
treat me like your little. Treat me like Lily.
What is up with who is teaching him English? Like that's not the right thing to say in an official statement. Being like, "Congratulations, Big Daddy."
It's the fact that they put him, because this was posted by Red Bull and then reposted by ESPN.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
the fact that Red Bull put him as the first one and not Christian Horner when they knew what he said. Like, it was pure content. at
But
this
like,
point.
who's telling him that's culturally what he should
referee.
say?
Well, it's the fact that Crofty and Martin, they said the same thing. They called him Daddy. He was showing the F1 grid who's
Well,
Daddy.
no, he
That's
didn't just
that's
call
what
him
they said.
Daddy. He said Big Daddy.
No, Yuki said Big Daddy.
Yeah,
I'm
but
saying
why?
Crofty and
like I guess sure. I mean, if you're talking to a kid, like yeah, but like this is
Well,
like a
think
formal
about it.
congratulations.
think about it. If you're talking about Yuki,
Everybody's bigger than
everybody's
him.
big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. He
He's
needs a
like
booster seat.
he's Lego sized. He's like a Lego man. Yeah, that was hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
The constant daddy all weekend long was really funny to me. I love that Max will always set the record straight and be like, I'm on pole, so clearly I'm not slower. That was hilarious. Anyways, I say all that to say, since I'm gonna post this on the May 5th, but May the 4th be with you.
Oh yay!
And stay tuned on our socials for more podcast content and more content from these two hooligans. They teach you about tech. They teach you about history in Formula One and beyond.
Whatever's on my mind that day.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about
feel like
Marcus Ericsson again.
There you go.
Indy 500.
Please don't.
2022 winner.
Indy is
F1
boring.
extraordinaire.
Indy's boring.
Well, Marcus Ericsson, he
You
made
said
a
it
career.
yourself. You said the Lego race is more entertaining than the IndyCar
He
race.
did start
Today.
with that.
Today. Only today.
Not the 500. 500 is the best.
Stay tuned, and thank you guys for watching. Bye, guys.
Peace.
Bye.